The echo in the canyon. What you give is what you get. Have you ever shouted into a canyon and heard your voice come back to you, not quite the same, but louder, clearer, even stronger? In life, that echo is always there, whether we notice it or not. But what if that echo doesn't come from sound, but from the energy we give, the words we say, the kindness, or the anger that we send out? This story begins not with an answer, but with a question, one asked by a boy who couldn't understand why life seemed so unfair. In a quiet village nestled among tall cliffs and whispering pines, lived a young boy named Elias. Elias had a curious heart, but a heavy spirit. His father had recently lost his job, and his mother spent her days sewing clothes to help the family survive. Elias felt invisible, overlooked at school, ignored by friends, and even misunderstood at home. One morning, frustrated and tired, he ran away into the nearby canyon, a place the elders called the Talking Stone. They said the canyon had a soul, that it heard every word you spoke, and returned it. But to Elias, it was just rocks and wind. He climbed to a ledge overlooking the valley, and with tears in his eyes, he shouted, "Why does no one care about me?" There was a moment of stillness, then the canyon responded, "Care about me. Me." Elias froze. The voice felt like his own, but also like someone else's. He wiped his face, stood up, and shouted again, "I hate this life." The canyon answered, "Hate this life." He screamed louder, "Nothing ever changes." And once again, the echo came, "Ever changes." Elias sat down, trembling. He didn't know whether to be angry or afraid. But what haunted him most was not the echo itself, but how it always returned exactly what he gave it. Later that day, as the sun began to sink behind the cliffs, Elias heard a gentle voice behind him. It was an old man from the village, Mr. Byron, known for his quiet wisdom and peaceful presence. "I saw you come here," the old man said, sitting beside him. "This place has power, doesn't it?" Elias looked down, embarrassed. "I was just shouting, angry shouting, but it shouted back." Mr. Byron smiled. "That's what echoes do, they return what they receive, not just here in the canyon, but in life, too." Elias turned toward him. "What do you mean?" The old man picked up a small stone, tossed it gently across the cliff. "Throw anger, and it returns. Throw love, and that returns, too. Life is an echo, Elias. What you give is what you get." Elias blinked. "But I wasn't trying to get anything, I was just hurting." "And that's okay," said Mr. Byron gently. "But when we stay in that place of hurt, and we shout our pain into the world, sometimes the world shouts it right back." That night, Elias couldn't sleep. Mr. Byron's words echoed in his head, like the canyon itself. What you give is what you get. He kept thinking about all the times he had been angry, sad, or silent, expecting the world to magically fix itself. But maybe, just maybe, he needed to be the first to give something better. The next morning, as the mist still clung to the hills, Elias walked to the canyon again. But this time, he wasn't shouting with pain. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and softly spoke, "Thank you for this morning." The canyon returned the words with surprising warmth. This morning. Elias smiled for the first time in days. Then, with a bit more strength, he said, "I will be kind today." The canyon replied, "Kind today." Something inside him shifted. Like a door opening slowly. Elias realized he had the power to shape the world around him, by first shaping what he put into it. That day, Elias did something he hadn't done before. He helped his mother finish sewing without being asked. He shared his lunch with a boy at school who often sat alone. He even smiled at the teacher, even though she had scolded him the day before. And something unexpected happened. People began smiling back. The teacher patted him on the shoulder. His mother hugged him tighter that evening. Even his father, tired and worn, looked at him with pride. Elias realized he hadn't changed the world overnight. But he had changed his part of it. And that was enough to start something bigger. A week later, Elias returned to the canyon. This time, he wasn't running away. He stood at the edge again, not to scream his pain, but to speak his truth. "I am not invisible," he said. "I am learning, growing, giving." The canyon responded, "Growing, giving." Then he added, "And I will give the world what I want to receive." The echo returned his promise. Want to receive. He smiled again, but this time, it was deeper. A smile from someone who had discovered something powerful. Not magic. Not a miracle. But a truth, as old as the stones around him. Weeks passed. Then months, and little by little, Elias continued his new way of living. He didn't always get it right. There were days he felt small again, days he was tempted to shout his frustration. But now, he remembered the echo. So even on hard days, he chose to give what he wanted to feel. Peace. Patience. Kindness. And slowly, he noticed that the world, or at least his world, began to respond. The boy who once felt invisible, was now the one others came to for help. He listened more. Judged less. Loved deeper. And he began to understand something beautiful, that what we offer the world, is never lost. It circles back to us, sometimes louder, sometimes softer, but always, always returning. One day, a new student arrived in the village. A boy named Aaron, with clenched fists and an angry face. He pushed others, never smiled, and refused to speak kindly. Elias saw his old self in him. And for a moment, the old temptation whispered, "Why bother being kind to someone like that?" But then, Elias remembered the canyon. He approached Aaron after school and simply said, "Hey, if you ever want to walk home with someone, I'm around." Aaron didn't answer. Just walked away. But the next day, he followed Elias home. They didn't talk much, but it was the beginning. And like the canyon's echo, what Elias gave, even if delayed, came back. Years later, Elias became a teacher in that same village. He often brought his students to the canyon, not for science or geography, but for something much more important. Standing on that familiar ledge, he would say to them, "This place doesn't just echo your voice, it echoes your spirit, your actions, your words, so give the world something beautiful, and beauty will come back to you." The children would laugh, test the echo, shout silly things, but a few would pause and feel it. That invisible thread between what we send out and what comes back. Elias would smile, watching them. Because he knew, he wasn't just teaching them about a canyon. He was teaching them about life. So remember, life is not a void. It listens. It reflects. It returns. If you shout bitterness, it may echo pain. But if you whisper hope, it can sing back joy. Whatever you give comes back to you. Eventually. Powerfully. Quietly. But always. Because life is the echo in the canyon. Thank you for watching this story. If it touched your heart or gave you a new perspective, please give this video a thumbs up, and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Don't forget to subscribe, and click the notification bell, so you won't miss our weekly inspiring stories, just like this one. Together, let's keep spreading kindness and positivity. Because what you give, comes back to you. See you in the next video.